So we was talking to nobody.
We was talking to nobody the whole time. Now we're live. We are
great.
We are broadcasting. We had like the best intro in the world right now. You guys missed it.
Everybody missed it.
Everybody missed it. But we are live. Instagram saw it. Those folks saw it. If you're on Instagram and you want to come over, be a part of the full experience, might want to jump over to our YouTube or our Facebook or LinkedIn. But send us a comment. Let us know you're here and you're ready to have some fun with us tonight. So first ever, Mike, first ever live broadcast of our show, Realize Your Potential. We are pumped and juiced to bring this episode to you. This week, we are starting a brand new section, and this section is focused on, what's focused on, Mike?
Hustle and grind.
Hustle and grind.
How do we achieve and continue to rock and roll? Right.
So we've started this journey. If you haven't been with us, or if you have, we'll give you a quick update of how we got to hustle and grind and where we are. But the good thing is we are actually going to do a season finale episode, get it going. It looks like my daughter said hi in the chat. Pretty. Quinn is here, hustle and grind. It's going
from Georgia.
But what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how we got to where we are and then why this section is so important for us as we make our passion a reality. And so we started this series. Man, Mike, it's been 6 months since we started this series. We are on episode 28.
Time, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Time has flown by, man.
Man, we are on episode 28, which is absolutely amazing. And thank you for everybody who supported and watched our episodes. We started this with how do we give people inspiration during the pandemic? Obviously, the pandemic was really rough, tough situations, a lot going on. And so for us, we really wanted to focus on how can we help people prosper during the pandemic? And so that's really where our first couple of episodes came from. And then we moved from pandemic prospering into how do we make our passion a reality? And so the first step in making your passion a reality is to focus on a couple of key things, right? And a couple of those key things were not letting fear get in your way. One of our guests, Hal Lublin, talked about that a lot. Understanding the difference between liking something and something being your passion, and really going down the steps of seeking maybe some advice on what my passion is, what it could be, and all of those things, right? So that was kind of the very first steps in our process, was how do we do that? We moved from passion and identifying your passion to getting your mind in the right place. And I think anyone who's been a professional or been an athlete, they understand the importance of making sure that your mindset is in the right place. And so we really focus on that. How do we focus on keeping our mind in the right place? And so we talked a little bit about different exercises that you can do. You took us through a bunch of breathing exercises, which was great. Talked about the water on your face and how it can shock. But we also had some really great guests, from Daniel Slayton we had Booker Harris.
Ron Fletcher, super lawyer.
Fletcher, if you're out there, say what's up. What's up, Pam? What's up, Antoine? But
in mind you, being a super lawyer, that's a thing. Like that's not me. That's not me busting, whatever. That's a real thing.
Super lawyer. He is actually a super lawyer.
That's a real moniker.
And so then after that, and Angie, what's up? Making your passion a reality. I love it. Thanks for joining us on Instagram. And so keeping your mentality in the right place was really, really important. And so we focused on that. And we focused on driving that. And we gave examples of people who had been to the top, at the pinnacle of what they do, but also one of them who had been at the top pinnacle of what they do and what it was like to actually fall from that, and how to keep your mindset in the right place, which really then set up the next chapter, which is how do you ask for help? How do you actually ask for help from people?
And being able to identify what type of help.
Yeah, and being able to identify that. Absolutely. So like, what type of help do I need to get to my goal and make my passion a reality? And so we really focused on that. We took people through all of those steps. Great guest we had during that section is who do we have to do that section, Mike? We talked to Lori, who helped us become professional coaches. Talked to Jessica. Jessica, you're out there. I saw you. Say what's up on Instagram. Appreciate you. Jessica was there. And then we have a really great guest in Sabrina, who really talked about being at the top of the game. I mean, at a level that most people would dream to be at.
$1 billion budgets.
Right? $1 billion budgets, but
not billion.
I'm not quite at where I want to be. I'm not at my top. I'm not where I know I can be. And so the idea of why getting help is so important. And when we talked about the various steps, which we will go through on our season finale. So we're kind of trying to get through this relatively quickly, but we'll go through kind of some of these specifics on our season finale. You can also go to our YouTube page, YouTube.com/realize now. Check out any past episodes. They're all there. And then after we talked about the value of help, we moved into strategy and planning. And frankly, I really wish these were some of our most watched episodes because Mike went to the whiteboard. And I'm telling you right now, folks, after this, go watch that series. It was absolutely amazing. Mike went to the whiteboard.
No. The most amazing part was you wanting to become a professional snowboarder, bro. That's that.
We know I live up to every stereotype on my pigment about snow, but I'll let that be what it is. And so that was a scenario we ran through, which was identifying our passion, and then how do we really build a plan around that? Thank you, Aunt Barnes. You said we're doing great things on Instagram, so I really appreciate you. Appreciate you being in the building. And so there we go. Look, Mike is the man on the whiteboard. Exactly. And so he really took us through kind of some really cool, actionable steps that you can do to really build an effective strategy and an effective plan. So it was really cool. And so we did that. And now we are moving into the last step, because if you do all of those things, you identify your passion, you get your mind in the right place, you ask for help, and you get a coach or you get any type of help to help you reach where you need to be. And then you build a plan and strategy and you just stop. Guess what, everybody?
It stops.
It just stops. There's nothing there. And so the very last step is right behind me, the execution, the hustle, and the grind. And so we're going to kick off that session today, talk a little bit about it. And then we'll really get into kind of, we got a great guest next week, an amazing guest to kind of cap off that. And then we'll
end excited about that.
And then the season, in the season there. So let's talk a little bit about hustle and grind. But before we go through any of that, anybody who watched, I saw Phil out there say Mike is the man on the whiteboard. Anything that you guys feel like you took away from any of the episodes that you saw, put it in the comments.
That'd be great.
Let us know. We'd love to share it, because the most important thing for us is helping to create a community. Angie said never cross the finish line. I love that point, because you're never done with the work. You have to continue working to make sure that you get to your end goal. So fantastic.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, keep pushing to get to your end goal. So let's jump into hustle and grind. So what is hustle and grind? I think that we talk about it often. Yep. Before we do that, Super Lawyer Rum, I hope you are in the building right now. Creating a standard via the Super Lawyer, yes, was a amazing takeaway, Quinn. Fantastic. Yep, it was one of my favorite episodes for sure.
It was a good takeaway, but also inspirational. You know what I mean, in terms of the easy sort of things in place that you can do to sort of stay disciplined. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, creating a mantra. Yep. Came from Danielle Slayton, the Olympian. I mean, that's the kind of people we had on our show, guys. We had the Olympian. We had a bunch of cool people on the show. So really, really fantastic. So let's jump into hustle and grind. So what does that mean? And what Aunt Barnes talked about is when Mike talked about doing that reflection, when you're reflecting on where you are, what you're doing. Gosh, so much good stuff. And Hal really likes the episodes with that Hal guy. I like those episodes too, Hal. I really, really do. So as we look at hustle and grind, the first piece of that is hustle. And hustle is the only controllable pillar of success. That's what it says on my board right here. And what that means is that's the only thing when you're talking about driving to success that you actually control. You don't control anything that pops up in your life. You can't control
traffic
or whatever the case may be, but you can control how much effort you put into it. Grind is performing the same task over and over in order to obtain a goal. And so if you think about putting those things together, right, the one thing that I can control that is a successful activity and continuing to do it over and over and over again is the hustle and grind. And so if you think about your passion and how you want to make it come to reality, you have to put those two things in play. If you don't, you're going to find yourself, you're going to find yourself in a really, really tough situation, right? Like you're going to find yourself not being able to be able to move your passion to the level that you really want to. So what are the two, once we get to this step, there's really kind of two offshoots of that hustle and grind can really go to. The first is execution, and that's execution of your plan. And so think of that as stop talking about it and put in the work. It's really what execution is. So I take everything about my plan and I put it into play. Now the problem with that is sometimes I say I'm putting my plan into work, but I'm really not. Right, Mike? I say, okay, I'm focused on these plans. I'm focused on doing all of these things, but I'm actually not doing all the stuff that I said I was going to do. Right. So that really boils down to, and anyone who's worked on my team or worked with me before knows that I always say that's either a skill or a will issue, right? Skill, something that you can work on. So if your skill is not where it needs to be, seek the right advice, seek the right schooling, seek whatever you need to make sure that that skill is working, right? It is better. If you're having trouble there, then you've got to evaluate what can you do to get better at that skill. The second piece, though, is will. And will is something that I can't give you, right? Will is about how bad do you want what you say you want? Because you say you want to do this and you say you want to do that, but then you turn around and you don't do the activities that lead to success. And so the reality is you've got to make sure that you are putting in the appropriate amount of will. Now, if you don't have will, there's a couple things that could be the issue. One, this could not be your passion. It maybe isn't your passion. And there was an episode where Hal talked about, I'm glad he's here, where he talked about acting and when he knew it was his passion. And what he said was, when I woke up in the morning, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing. That's when we really identify, okay, this is my passion. This is what I want to do, right? And so it's really, really important. And so if your will is missing, it may not be your passion. If your will is missing, it may be something else as well. And you may need professional help. And I know people can be vulnerable around that and saying, hey, I'm not crazy or I don't need anything like that. Sometimes you may need a professional to help you with some mental blockers that you have, right? And it could be as simple as maybe a mentor or someone who's gone through it before. It could be someone like a coach, or it could be someone, frankly, it could be someone like a psychiatrist, right?
And our guest, Danielle Slayton, she talked about it when they were going for the national championship, and the psychologist who was working with the team was really pressing the issue around only control what you can control, and like that would be an example of what you're talking about, in terms of having someone, a coach, a professional, someone supporting you with keeping your mindset right and all these other things to sort of help your action go into play, and being diligent. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so as you're looking at that skill or will issue, the will could be something that you need to get treated for, and that's okay. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable and make your will to be successful your priority, right? Because that's what it really should be. It should be your priority. You should care enough about it. So that's the first instance where hustle and grind will come into play, is when your plan is in place. What do you guys think out there in comment land? Any comments around that? Any comments around maybe times that you've been stuck with making your passion a reality. Because I know that there's times where I've reached out and said, hey, I need some assistance here, Is that
you
your
guys
kid?
hear Cyrus? You hear Cyrus?
Oh, Cyrus is back. Cyrus is back. If you watch that very first Cyrus is in the mix.
Yeah, he really enjoys bedtime.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Thank you, Cyrus, for making my life happy right now.
Travis, the thing that came up for me is our next guest, when you talk about hustle and grind, our next guest, like, you guys are going to be like, what?
Yeah.
In terms of the things that he's done to get him to where he is today. Like, it's really, really cool to hear that story. So
yeah,
coming attraction.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I think is really interesting is, Anthony Barnes put, like, you just have to be willing to ask for help, and I love what Hal said there, right? Like, it's constant ebbs and flows, and you have to be willing to get through all of them, right? And like Phil just said, right, it's a lot of work just getting the plan in place, right? Mm-hmm. So it takes some action steps to just do that, right? And then it is part of the journey of how you get there. Now, the second piece where hustle and flow comes into play, or a hustle and grind, I said hustle and flow like the movie, right? Hustle and grind comes into play is what me and Mike like to call this uh-oh, right? And so here's uh-oh. I established my passion, right? I did all the things, I identified it, I asked for help, I got my mind in the right place. I built this great plan and strategy, talked it over with everybody, like everything looked like it was going in the right direction, and thank you for that, Phil, saying our episodes have left you with a perfect roadmap. Jane, love your comments. Thank you, Jane, for everything. By the way, Jane helped us put a lot of stuff together, so really, really appreciative there. But don't be afraid to break through those blockers. That's a great comment. But there's a time where uh-oh happens. I've done all of those things correctly, and guess what? Uh-oh, life happens. Something happened that was not foreseeable in the plan. You couldn't plan for it. And so what
Corona happened.
Corona happened, right? Great example.
Oh,
right?
Snap.
Right? I've done everything right. I've done everything that I was supposed to do, and it still didn't work out. But the thing that we always talk about, Mike and I, is so what? So what? Because if you give up, guess who's hurt by that? Right? And so if this is truly your passion, there are things that can happen. And once again, our guest next week, you're going to hear a story of you should have gave up, right? Or you thought you should have gave up, right? And you realize, he didn't. And now he's a creative director for CBS, which is fantastic and amazing, right? But he did everything right, and it still didn't go his way. And he's going to tell you how he pushed through that. But the reality is, you have to say, so what, right? You have to say, so what, and you have to learn from it, and you have to push through all of the things that happen. And thank you, Hal. Appreciate that. You have to continue on to your passion. If it matters, if it's the most important thing to you, if it is everything that you say it is, then you've got to find a way to get through it. And the greatest thing about that is typically the success you will have on the other side of the uh-oh is typically groundbreaking success. And when you hear some of the greatest achievers of success in our society, what you'll hear them talk about is everything went crappy and I still kept pushing, and then boom, I'm here, right? And the story after story, right? Of just this continuous ability to push through it. And what gives you that strength could be your family, it could be a higher power like God for some people, right? It could be
your mindset.
Your mindset could be eternal inside of you. But the reality is, if you are focused, then you can go ahead and be successul. And somebody at my house, I don't know if that's my daughter or not, but she said, you guys are dropping knowledge, so thank you, baby. Thank you.
Are you sure you don't have a twin? with the same name. Travis, the interesting thing that's continuously coming up for me with what you're describing is, and I apologize if there's a bunch of cat lovers out there, but there's always more than one way to accomplish something, right? So if a door blocks, like I am convinced, and I think this is part of my personal mindset, if there's a door blockage there, there's going to be a way to get around it. I just haven't found it yet. And I might need to rely on others to help me look through that crack under the door to see how to get around it, up over it, around the side, or maybe just kick it in, you know what I mean? If that's the possible solution. But for me, like that's sort of the mantra that I stick to. And as a leader, like that's one of the things that I try to, tell the teams that I work with is, you got to push through, and there's more than one way to accomplish X. Like it's not a static thing with most things, right? Mm-hmm. Unless you're doing two plus two, and it equals 4.
Yeah, but, no, that's great insight, and the ability to be able to get through that is the ability that kind of is internal, that will tell you nothing can stop me, right? If I can get over that, then what's going to ever get in my way, right? So really, really, really love that point. And I love what Jane said. Her higher power is coffee, right? So that's what gets Jane started, gets her right? She has to have her coffee, right? To get through it all. And so as you're kind of thinking about this hustle and grind, the question is, that everyone will still say is, okay, how do I do that, right? Like, I get it. I understand that this is what I have to do, but how do I? And so we've got a couple of tips for you guys. The first tip is check yourself. Are there distractions in your way? Are there excuses that you are making or have made that really stop you from getting to where you need to be, right? So that's kind of step number one. When you're stuck and you haven't hit your hustle and grind mode, check if there's something getting in your way and distractions, right? The second piece is tools. Are you using the appropriate tools for the appropriate job? So I have a toolbox. I'm going to have a hammer, a wrench, and a screwdriver. I don't fix a sink with a hammer. So you have to make sure that you're not bumping your head up against the wall or using the wrong tools in your toolbox. That's kind of point number 2. Point number 3, organize yourself. A lot of times we are stuck because we're not organized and disciplined to action the steps that we should do, right? So the reality is you have to be able to organize yourself in a way so that you can get the things done that you need to do. Phil asked a really great question. He said, like what? What could be some tools that you're using in the wrong direction? Got it. So let's say that you want to build a social media empire. You want to get followers, you want to gain followers, right? But you treat it as if you are trying to get print ads or clicks on a website, right? 2 completely different strategies that have completely different philosophies. You have to be able to reach out and figure out, okay, what is the right tool I need to accomplish this specific goal, right? And so how do I do that, right? And so that's an example of you would be using the wrong tools for your dream, right? You got to use the right tools. Quinn put something on here and said, he definitely struggles with the organization piece. And Quinn, man, I know there's a ton of people out there. I think that's probably the biggest struggle for most people is really that organization piece, keeping yourself disciplined. And that's why I always tell people, use the technology, use tips. You don't have to create. The great thing about our society today is that you can get access to information in so many different ways, and so please use all of your resources to stay organized. Hal says, and the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. I love that, right? And so that's what Hal's talking about, is filling up your toolbox, right? So making sure you have the appropriate amount of tools to really, really be successful. The fourth
which
piece
also means, wait, hold on, Travis. I want to say something here.
Yeah,
which absolutely. Also is, if you go backwards and you're looking at the steps, that's when sort of the value of help comes into play, right? In terms of looking at the people around you, who in your circle has the expertise to help you around this. And like Travis, we talk about all the time. It's like we make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, etc., and folks who stay away from folks who are not. You know what I mean? Because those aren't. That's not true. They may be the people that could support you in certain ways, but identify those who can help you around. Can they help you organize? Like, are they savvy with technology? Like, what does that look like? You know, and having discussions and putting yourself out there in a vulnerable place to sort of elicit support.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point, Mike. The fourth part is improve yourself and be on the move. Always be looking to better yourself. I think someone said in the quotes, or it was actually on Instagram, Andy said, you know, you're not a finished product. We're always going to be getting better. We're always going to be learning. You're never at the finish line, right? And so making sure that you're always pushing towards getting better is really, really important. And then the last piece, and a really important piece about success that aligns with that is, it actually comes from physics, but an object in motion will stay in motion. If you are continuously actioning and moving forward, then you're going to find good things come to you and happen for you, right? So, and then the last piece is make time to assess. If you keep doing something and you've done it for 3 months and it just doesn't work, it doesn't progress, why would you keep doing that for another 3 weeks, right? Doesn't make sense, right? You got to make sure that you are putting the appropriate time to assess. How am I doing? Where am I growing? How am I finding success? I think if you think of those 5 things, I think you will find yourself in a really good spot for success. So, thoughts around that. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Oh, Chris, what's up, Chris? How you doing, buddy? Miss you, bro. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about those 5 things keeping you on track to be successful and work towards your passion, get your hustle and grind on? You know, Jane talked about you got to find the right people. Our success story through this channel, and it was funny, my dad and I were talking, and I was telling him about all the amazing people that have fallen into our lives as we've done this show, right? And how they have literally, from guests like Hal coming on our show and all the other guests that have said, yeah, you know what, we'll come on your show and we'll be there, to Jane being able to help us advertise, you know, our live events and our shows, to James, which you guys will meet next week, who works for CBS. His job is to help us do promos, and he helped us cut this really cool promo for this live here, right? Like, just having the right people in your life, they will come into your life and do the right things that you need to do. I will list them again. Great ask. The first is check yourself. So look for distractions and excuses, right? Do they exist? And if they do, find ways to get them out of your way. Do you have the right tools? So making sure you use the right tool for the right job. Organize yourself. Use things like technology and use helpful tips that already exist. Don't try to recreate the wheel. Organize yourself. Fourth, improve yourself. Always be looking for a way to make yourself better. Stay on the move. An object in motion will stay in motion. So try to keep yourself moving. And then the last is make time to assess. Make time to, that is an important part of the process. What do we do well? What do we not do well? How can we get better? Right.
Man, I'll tell you, Travis, that in my house, man, like, we're always trying to move our energy in the direction of manifestation with regards to, you know, things we want to achieve. And I mean, it aligns with that. Just putting good energy out in the cosmos and just good things will happen, which I also think is part of sort of being able to manage your mindset around that, right? Because we can quickly go to, oh, this COVID stuff is overwhelming. It's blah, 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 you know? And so I think for folks out there, continue to try to put positive energy out in the universe, because things will happen for you in weird ways that you can't describe and you don't understand, and you don't got to understand it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just put it out there.
Really, really important stuff. any thoughts from out there? We want to engage with you. What do you guys think about this section of Hustle and Grind? What do you guys think are your biggest takeaways? Anything that you feel like you can use and you can action and make your passion a reality? Anything you're thinking about out there? Anybody? Well, as we're waiting for some folks to comment on that, we just want to say, I mean, thank you so much for supporting our channel, supporting our efforts. We've got so much support, some more support than we ever thought we could have, right? Like we are blessed to be where we are today. You know, I love what Chris just said, right? Keep moving, avoid being stagnant. Mm-hmm. Right? Great takeaway, Chris. And because of those efforts, we're actually now that knock on wood and thank the creator, right? We're actually getting out of COVID. We're getting our vaccines, and we're actually going to be speaking at a conference in Orlando in June. We just finalized that. And so
super stoked about that.
Yeah, super stoked about that. So thank you to all of you who have been supportive, who really helped us push our dream forward. And we're really excited to kind of take that and really kind of move on with it and all that stuff, you know. And I love Antoine said putting God first. How does it feel to be live? Feels great. Feels great to actually interact with people who watch our show. So it's really, really cool. Sometimes you have views and you're like, who watched our show? Like, because who's out there, right? So just to put faces with names and stuff like that and views is really, really awesome. So thank you guys, because without you, those opportunities that we're landing now would not be possible. We're going to be bringing trainings out. Mike and I are focused on bringing a really cool training to the market. You want to tell people a little bit about it? Don't give them everything, Mike, but maybe a little bit.
Well, our goal is to really sort of bring these sort of tenets that we've been talking about more to life for people, with more examples, really diving into depth around the research, and just a ton of stuff around the stuff that we've been talking about. So the other thing I wanted to share is this trip we're going to take to Florida to talk at this conference. We're definitely going to be sharing every bit of it with you all. And I'm excited for that. So that's going to be good stuff, dude. That's going to be good stuff.
Yeah. And we definitely want to thank the marketing entity who helped us get this. More information will be on our website of exactly where to go. If you're looking to market yourself, we'll be able to pass along the information. But thank you to Philip Walker for helping us kind of find our first streaming opportunity, which was on Spondulic. We are streaming there today, so you can see our episodes on Spondulic. And the organization that puts on that streaming service has invited us to speak because they were really happy with the episodes that we produced for them and all that stuff. So we're really looking forward to continuing this journey. We're going to kind of wrap it up here unless someone has like an amazing thought to share. But we have 2 more episodes coming. One that will be released on Monday. And that will be the Hustle and Grind kind of finale with an amazing guest, one of my best friends from high school. Works for CBS today. Really, really cool story. I don't think you're going to want to miss that. And then our last episode will be our very, very last episode will be a season wrap up. So we'll be
season, y'all. We have a season.
Yeah,
season 1.
Yeah, season 1 wrap up, which will be our 30th episode. And we're really excited. We're really, really excited for that. And then we will be kicking off season 2 in a few months. We've got a couple of other projects to work on. And, you know what? I hope, wouldn't that be cool, Mike, if we could leave, if season 2 was kicked off at Florida? That'd be pretty cool to kick it off.
Oh, that would be dope, dude.
That'd be pretty dope, right?
Dope.
So thank you to all the supporters. Check us next week, Monday, for our newest episode with James Goynich, works for CBS on Hustle and Grind. And then check us after that for the final episode. So here we go.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Take care. Have a good night.
Tuck all those kids in.